Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield back.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Massachusetts, Mr. McGovern, for 5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, last Monday and Tuesday, I participated in the 8th annual Monte's March, a 43-mile walk from Springfield to Greenfield, Massachusetts, to raise awareness about hunger in our community and to raise money for the Food Bank of Western Massachusetts. Monte Belmonte, a well-known and beloved local radio personality with WRSI The River in Northampton, led dozens of committed activists and community leaders on the walk. This year, the march raised over $236,000, a record, to help struggling families in Western Massachusetts. This translates into about 708,000 meals that will go directly to individuals and families struggling with food insecurity. As I am each year, I was deeply impressed by the stamina of all those who walked and by the generosity of community members looking to help those in need. I'd like to take a moment to thank those who joined us along the route for their dedication to the cause of ending hunger in this country once and for all. Specifically, I want to thank Monte Belmonte and his entire crew from the river, including Mark Latanzi, Dave Musanti, and Renee Kane. They work incredibly hard each year to make this march a success, and it wouldn't have been possible without their determination and the extra hours they put in leading up to this event. Sean Barry of Four Seasons Liquor in Hadley, Monte's right-hand man, marched the entire 2 days. Andrew Morehouse, the Executive Director of the Food Bank of Western Massachusetts, and everyone at the Food Bank. They do inspiring work. They deserve to be supported. All of the elected officials who joined us, including my colleagues Representative Richie Neal and Joe Kennedy, State Senator Eric Lesser and Representative Aaron Vega, Northampton Mayor David Narkowitz, Greenfield Mayor William Martin, and Chicopee Mayor Richard Koss. The representatives of several local colleges, Christina Royal, President of Holyoke Community College, my dear friend Bob Pura, President of Greenfield Community College, and a special appearance by Sam the Minuteman, UMass's beloved mascot. Incredible advocates from the nonprofit community, including Tim Garvin of the United Way of Central Massachusetts. Also from the United Way was Brian Whitney and Kerry Connigan. Ron Johnson, CEO of the Martin Luther King Jr. Family Services, Inc. in Springfield. Andrea Marion, Executive Director of Lorraine's Soup Kitchen in Chicopee. Shannon Rudder, Executive Director of Kate's Kitchen in Holyoke. Betty Medina Lichtenstein, Founder and Executive Director of Enlace de Familias in Holyoke. Mindy Dome, Executive Director of the Amherst Survival Center, and Neftali Duran, the chef and food activist at Nuestras Races in Holyoke. The musicians who kept us entertained along the way, the Expandable Brass Band, Double Edge Theater, and Hopkins Academy Band. Western Massachusetts small businesses, including Bridgeside Grill, Magpie Pizza, Ashfield Lake House, Union Station in Northampton, and Berkshire Brewing Company, who kept us nourished along the way. Ben Clark of Clarkdale Fruit Farms, and Tea Guys of Whately, Massachusetts, for their wonderful tea in honor of the march and for their continued generosity and friendship. The Sheriff's Departments in Hamden, Hampshire, and Franklin counties, as well as the Deerfield Police, helped provide escorts for us during the entire 43 miles. Mr. Michael Brooks and the students of Smith Vocational School in Northampton for making the shopping carts we used during the march. And I'm grateful to the countless students, elementary, middle school, and high school students who raised money and greeted us along the way, members of the Tibetan community who greeted us as well, and all the others, all the other incredible individuals from our community who joined us on the march, like my dear friend Chia Collins and Steve the Hippie Fendel and Georgianne and Rick Christek, Christina Elechko, Erin McKeon, and Emily Lichter from Ashfield Lake House, and so many, many others, as well as industry partners who helped support this effort through their generosity. I want to thank two of my wonderful district staffers, Keith Barnacle and Seth Nato, for their efforts in helping to organize the march and for assisting me every step of the way. And lastly, I want to thank my son Patrick, who marched with me by my side during this entire time. Mr. Speaker, I was proud to join so many of my constituents and neighbors in Western Massachusetts to bring attention to the issue of hunger and raise much-needed funding for the Food Bank of Western Massachusetts. I'm so honored to be part of this march each year, but need to remind my colleagues in this chamber that charities alone cannot end hunger. To do that, it will take further investments in our federally funded programs like SNAP and WIC and school meals. As we look toward the next Farm Bill, the next budget, and the upcoming appropriation cycle, I plead with my colleagues to maintain and increase investments in programs to help those struggling with food insecurity. Please don't do anything to make hunger worse in this country. In the United States of America, the richest country in the history of the world, it is a disgrace that any child goes to bed hungry, that any senior has to choose between life-saving medication and a decent meal, that any veteran who risked his or her life in the defense of our nation doesn't have enough to eat, that any individual suffers from hunger. But still, 42 million Americans remain food insecure. Food is a right, and it is up to this Congress to finally take a stand in supporting efforts to end hunger now. I yield back the balance of my time.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from California, Mr. McClintock.